What's good, everyone? It's your boy Nati with another video for the channel. Welcome back to DMVSportsZone, and welcome to the official Day 3 recap of Washington football team training camp. And Day 3 was an eventful day, to say the least. First and foremost, Taylor Heinicke was once again, for the second consecutive day, the first guy out there on the practice field, which is great to see out of a guy who right now is technically the backup quarterback, but could potentially vie for a starting spot maybe by the time the preseason is over, or maybe even the regular season, right? Because with Ryan Fitzpatrick's history, both in terms of injuries and also his playing history, Taylor Heinicke does have a good shot of being a starter at some point over the next couple of months for this Washington football team. And he also had some nice balls that were thrown as well. So he's been having himself a pretty good camp, which is great to see. Pretty good offseason overall, dating back to the OTA period as well. So good on Heinicke for really showing some great things in camp. I also want to get to Kelvin Harmon as well, as looked very good on the practice fields out there, both at the point of attack when it comes to corralling catches, and also when it comes to his route running, which in my opinion is even more spectacular because, of course, he suffered a torn ACL last summer and missed all of last season, but he definitely looks up to speed. He also had a great deep catch along the sidelines today as well, and I think he has a legit shot to make this roster. Him and AGG are pretty much, in my opinion, vying for that sixth receiver spot. And speaking of AGG, also looks spectacular, so he is definitely making the competition a competition, right? And which is great to see, because AGG last year, you guys know, and you probably felt the same way, we're not very pleased with what we saw out of AGG last year, even with him being a rookie out of Liberty with no offseason at all. It definitely was disappointing to see that. I think he only had one great end-around run against the Browns. That was probably his highlight of his rookie season. But he has shown some good things in camp, and once again is making a legit competition with Kelvin Harmon for that last wide receiving spot. And also, though, the main theme of Day 3 of Washington football team training camp was that it got very, very, very testy. Hence the title of this video. Tamarick Hemingway, the tight end, who's on the roster bubble right now, probably won't even make the roster, was in the middle of a lot of the testiness of today. Him and Chase Young started things off with a heated exchange, or I believe it was Montez Sweat actually, first off, who started with the heated exchange with Hemingway, and teammates had to intervene and pretty much push them apart, right? And ultimately, cooler heads did seem to prevail there, but then Chase Young jumped into the fray, and he also got into a heated exchange with Hemingway, so definitely a lot of testiness there. And once that was over with, people pretty much thought that the arguments and the fights were going to be over with during Day 3 of training camp. But no, Sammis Reyes also found himself into some action with Cole Holcomb. Reportedly, Cole Holcomb actually punched Sammis Reyes, and it was funny because Sammis Reyes' response was, that she ain't nothing, was his direct response to it. So again, very testy out there in Richmond today, but ultimately we did see some good action as well in addition to the testiness. Chase Young, speaking of, had an absolutely spectacular Day 3. He was pretty much tossing David Sharp, Sadiq Charles, Samuel Cosme, no matter who Washington put out there at right tackle, pretty much tossed them like rag dolls and got a couple of sacks. Montez Sweat, pretty much the same thing. So you can take two things out of that. One, the eliteness of this starting bookend that we have at defensive end with Chase Young and Montez Sweat. We're going to be here for a long, long time here in DC. And two, I mean, the right tackle situation isn't necessarily the best right now. Obviously, Samuel Cosme, maybe even Sadiq Charles look to be starting tackles into the future. But Cosme in particular, we knew going into the training camp that he needed some more seasoning. He was coming in as a pretty raw prospect, so isn't super surprising that Chase Young and Montez Sweat are having a lot of success on Cosme thus far in camp. And of course, Cornelius Lucas is on the COVID-19 list, and he looks to be the starter right away. But no, Chase Young and Montez Sweat had a bunch of sacks today, and were pretty much doing anything and everything that they wanted against this offensive line. The only really good offensive line play that we saw today was pretty much Chase Roulier and also Brandon Scherff, from what I've heard. And speaking of Brandon Scherff, continues to talk to the media, continues to say that he wants to stay here in DC for a long, long time. But at this point, bro, like, put your money where your mouth is. I mean, this has been 2-3 years now in the making. How many times are you going to say you're going to want to be here in DC and not really pony up to Washington's contract offers that they put on the table, right? Washington reportedly gave Brandon Scherff a contract that would have made him the highest paid guard in the entire NFL, and he reportedly shot that down. So at this point, man, if you don't sign a new contract next offseason, then let bygones be bygones, and you're probably going to be on another football team in this league. And I don't really like that, because I don't want to see our best offensive lineman pretty much lead the Washington football team for nothing. I mean, you guys know how I feel about the Trent Williams situation, how we pretty much let him go for a bag of chips. Arguably the best left tackle, not even arguably, the best left tackle in the league, especially off of his great season last year. And Brandon Scherff is probably likely to follow in his footsteps, if we're going to be honest. But no, I really want Washington to keep him. But at this point, man, like, we've been saying it for a couple years now, and Washington has been giving out contract extensions to Jonathan Allen, hefty contract extensions at that, and Logan Thomas as well. But I don't know. It looks like Brandon Scherff's days are numbered. I hope not, but we shall see there. And then Cam Sims as well got a lot of great work in, man. He's been playing very well in training camp thus far, and really throughout the offseason period. Obviously, last season he had his big breakout, even though he technically didn't have more than 500 receiving yards on the season. Definitely broke out over the last couple of games of that season. Against the Steelers, of course, he had that great one-handed catch, and had, I believe, near 100 yards in that game, if not over 100 yards. And in the playoff game, he also played out very well as well against that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, who were, of course, very solid and led them to a Super Bowl championship last year. But no, Cam Sims is continuing his great work, although he did go down with an injury today during camp, but from the looks of it, was pretty minor. He did get himself back on the practice field before the close of day 3 of Washington football team training camp practice. So, and Ron Rivera also doubled down, saying it was a pretty minor injury. So Cam Sims looks to be okay, and I look to him being a very good receiver once again on this Washington football team. Although this time he won't be that wide receiver 2 or even that wide receiver 3 on this team that he was last year, because of the fact that our wide receiving depth was so poor behind Terry McLaurin. But Sims, once again, he did show a lot of good things. Troy Apke, guys. We had a Troy Apke sighting today. At cornerback, he batted down a couple of balls, prevented a couple big gains being thrown against him. And, I mean, at this point, I still think he's on the outside looking in. I still don't think he's going to make the roster, but he has shown some good things at cornerback. We'll see once again if he makes the roster, but you like to at least see some sort of good signs out of Troy Apke, right out of the 4th round pick that Washington drafted a couple years back. But once again, I still don't think he's going to make the roster. And speaking of DBs, Benjamin St-Juste, guys, I mean, at this point, he's gotten most of the snaps at outside cornerback in training camp, alongside William Jackson III, and Kendall Fuller has gotten most of the snaps in the slot. So I think our dream scenario for the cornerback situation here in DC, the starting cornerback situation of William Jackson III being on the outside and being a potential all-pro candidate. Yes, guys, you know how high I am on William Jackson III, especially in this defense. And obviously you have Benjamin St-Juste on the other side, right, as the other boundary cornerback, and then Kendall Fuller in his best spot on the defense in the slot. I think things are starting to show that might be the starting cornerback trio that we have come week 1 of the season, right? Which is absolutely spectacular. We all saw Ron Rivera compare Benjamin St-Juste to Peanut Tillman, and obviously Ron Rivera is not the type of guy who throws out the comparison for nothing. He obviously coached for the Bears for a time and is a great Bears player, or was a great player for that organization. And he threw out that comparison. I think Benjamin St-Juste, the sky's the limit for him, man. He has, once again, all the athletic attributes. 3-cone drill was bonkers during the NFL pre-draft process. So he looks to have a very good spot on this team come week 1, really. It might not even take a couple weeks before he gets there. Speaking of 3rd-round picks, Dyami Brown also had a spectacular day 3, and it's been pretty much having a spectacular camp. He had a couple nice deep balls that were thrown to him, and he ultimately corralled those catches, and I think he's going to be a very great deep threat for this team. I think him with Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel, once he comes back, fingers crossed, he's still technically on the COVID-19 list in addition to being injured. I think we're going to pretty much air it out on offense this year. Ron Fitzpatrick loves to really throw the ball down the field, and I think Dyami Brown, Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin are perfect complements for that sort of approach. And yeah, like I said, AGG, very good camp. Him and Kelvin Harmon, pretty much, in my opinion, battled out for that wide receiver 6 spot behind guys like Cam Sims, Adam Humphries, who has been pretty solid in the slot as well, showing that connection with Fitzpatrick is still there from their Tampa Bay playing days. Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, De'Ami Brown. Outside of those guys, it's going to be a battle between Kelvin Harmon and AGG. And Terry, Fitzpatrick to Terry, guys. The connection is going strong with each passing day. And Terry McLaurin had a couple good catches actually today. I believe there's a 40-yard gain thrown in there today. And once again, as we've been talking about throughout the offseason, Fitzpatrick loves to pepper his number one receiving targets, whether it be Devontae Parker in Miami, Mike Evans in Tampa Bay, or even Brandon Marshall dating back to his New York Jets days. And I think Terry McLaurin is going to have a potential 12, 13, 1,400-yard receiving season with maybe 6, 7, 8 receiving touchdowns thrown in there, even with the plentiful offensive weapons that we have, just because of the fact that Ryan Fitzpatrick, once again, loves to pepper his number one receiving targets, and Terry McLaurin is one of the best receivers in this league, perhaps a top 15 receiver at this point. And I think that connection is just going to continue growing stronger, and I think Terry's also going to catch a lot more deep passes this year, much like his rookie season, right? Last year, he was more so used as an intermediate guy, largely because of the poor quarterback play and also the styles of a guy like Alex Smith, who obviously loves to check down the ball, doesn't really love to push the ball down the field. But I think we're going to see a lot of different things out of Terry McLaurin this year because of Ryan Fitzpatrick throwing him the ball. And a couple of other things as well. Terry McLaurin versus William Jackson III continues to be a treat of a matchup, man. That's spectacular. It's alpha versus alpha. Like, it's two of the best in this league, man, going at it, getting better with every single practice, every single passing day. And I look for both of them to be, once again, two of the best players at their respective positions in the league. And iron sharpens iron, right? And then last but not least, Ron Rivera actually missed walkthrough last night because he's still dealing with some lingering fatigue from his carcinoma cancer diagnosis from last season. And with that, shows you two things. One, Ron Rivera's resilience, his strength to just keep pushing forward, right, despite his personal health issues over the last year plus. And two, how infuriating and how sympathetic I feel personally towards how Ron Rivera feels about the Washington football team being, once again, one of the lowest vaccinated teams in the league. And again, you guys could say whatever you want about the vaccination and have your thoughts about whether you want to take it or not. But when it comes to the NFL, it's a competitive advantage at this point, right? And I think we've already seen a couple of players go down thus far. Curtis Samuel, Matt Ioannidis onto the COVID-19 list, although with Matt Ioannidis, it was just a close contact. And and that's training camp. So imagine a 17-game season now, one of the lowest vaccinated teams in the league. I mean, we might have a problem on our hands come maybe the midpoint of the season, right? When things start to ramp up. But we shall see, guys. We shall see. I think it's a bigger problem than a lot of fans are thinking of right now. And I've been pretty much saying that on Twitter almost every single day. But hopefully we can get our vaccination rates up and a Washington football team will be ready to go come week 1. I do want to say this isn't Washington football team related, but Evan should have a video up very shortly about the Nats trade deadline. Guys, since the last time I've talked to you guys, what has gone on in DC sports, man? Oh my gosh. If you guys don't follow our Instagram page, lowercase DMVSportsZone, we literally, I don't know how many posts we've had in the last 3 days, guys, about news regarding our teams. Obviously, the Russell Westbrook trade to the Lakers, the Nats trade deadline, trading away Max Scherzer and Trey Turner, and also Kyle Schwarber as well, John Lester as well. Pretty much Juan Soto is there to fend for himself on the Washington Nationals at this point. But yeah, we should have a video up shortly about that, but I mean, it's been a long last couple of days for both us on the channel, also all of us DMV sports fans who've been dealing with all this news regarding our DC sports teams. But, now we're entering into Fan Appreciation Day tomorrow. Abdullah should also have a vlog, a very good vlog, something that I haven't seen on any other channel or any other platform thus far for training camp. That should be up either tomorrow or Sunday. So we have a lot of more great content coming at you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe to DMV SportsZone channel. Man, because of you guys, we've gone up 200 plus subscribers in the last two 2.5 days. So thank you guys so much for the support, for all the likes, for all the comments. And yeah, we're only going to continue to grow. The road to 1,000. Hopefully we can get to 1,000 before the regular season starts. We'll see. That's a goal of mine. But thank you guys once again so much for watching. Have a great rest of your Friday evening or Saturday morning, depending on when you watch this. And make sure to keep an eye out for more content. Peace.